Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn video, and today we're going to go into the Tam-Tara Deepcroft dungeon. This is also the first time that I'm doing this particular dungeon, and the commentary is also going to be post-commentary, as you can tell. I've already boosted up the gamma, but I think I'm going to have to boost up the brightness as well to this video. I'm watching it now on the editor. And I'm sorry if the colors are going to seem somewhat weird because, I mean, I already have maximum brightness in the game. It still looks pretty damn dark in my video editor, so again, have to apologize for that. I think the same thing is going to happen in the previous run that I did for you guys, but it's just that way for me for some reason. Like, the game is really, really dark, and the brightness is already set to maximum, so there's nothing else I can do. So at the start of the run, I was making sure that everybody was ready to go. I even beckoned this guy because I had the beckon thing because of a mission that I had to do. So we're getting started here. Going to be tossing some tomahawk action in there. And still doing the exact same rotation that we did last time for most of the pulls. Going to do a little bit of overpower here just to make sure that we get the aggro on both these guys. And this is a different instance, and in this instance we will be tackling a couple of different difficulties. Or a couple of different challenges, so to speak. So now we actually have an additional skill that you will see me use from time to time, which is Maim, which is kind of like whenever I feel that I have enough threat on an enemy, instead of going after Skull Sunder, I actually go for Maim, which is going to do more damage. It's part of like optimizing your role as a tank, is like you don't want to do just the very bare minimum. At least I know I don't. Like when you're tanking, just because you're a tank, it doesn't mean that your sole role is to generate threat. Like, yes, this is your main objective. This is like the main thing you need to focus on. But you need to start learning, like, from the point that the mobs are under control, you need to like start thinking of outside the box and just start thinking about like, oh well, if mobs are under control, I can actually dish out some damage with some Maim, and you know, you can get something going with that. So here we're just doing a couple of flash fly swarms. We are currently level 19 in this dungeon, and the interesting thing that's going to happen in this dungeon is that this healer is different from the healer we had previously. Now, I'm not exactly sure about the symbols of each of the characters in the party screen there, so I'm not exactly 100% sure of what type of healer this is, but I've heard that there are like two types of healers, which is like the white mage and something else, and I think that this guy is probably the something else one because he's got a pet, and the pet also does some healing, I believe, because I even think that there are sections in this dungeon where the guy's gonna go AFK, he puts just to follow me, and the pet kind of does all the work. At least that's kind of how I felt as I was running through the instance, so that was kind of an interesting thing to see. But regardless, we're just going through pretty much no issues. The main thing is that the Lancer, I want to say that's the name of the class of the guy with the spear. The Lancer seems to think that he's a tank, so a lot of times you will see him pull. And that is not something that I mind all that much. I would, however, appreciate it if he assisted on my target, because that would have been cooler, because there will be situations where I will be losing threat towards him. And again, in the last dungeon, I also lost threat towards a pet. So, I don't know. Again, I'm still learning how to properly tank, but I feel that in this dungeon I had a lot more practice. But you guys will see something that happened that I felt was really unfortunate. And it is also one of the reasons why I won't be able to show you the entirety of the dungeon, like all of the boss fights. But we'll get to that in a couple of seconds. So this dungeon also turned out to be, for the most part, a tank and spank. I've been noticing that there is a limit break bar on the top left corner. I still don't know what that's about. I don't think I have any skills that use the limit break bar, although I could be wrong, but I haven't really noticed skills that use the limit break bar, so I don't know exactly what's up with the whole limit break shenanigans. So again, just going for some AoE threat here because I noticed that we have these two enemies. Something that you will see me start doing here is not paying attention to the treasure chests. I think I pay attention to this very first one, and after that I just start moving ahead whenever we get to a treasure chest to kind of plan how I'm going to pull the enemies. which is something that, as a tank, is something that you need to do. Like here, you will notice that even before the monster was dead, I had solid threat. So I was like, I need to check around, see what else is going on. And in this case, I went after the chest, like I said. But after this one, I was like, this is useless. This is like, why am I doing this? I don't need to look inside these chests. The chests also apparently give the loot to a random person, like we saw there. Stigris Dawnseeker got 3 vials of ether. So it's like, well, whatever. So in here, you guys will notice that I think it was even the healer, pulled these 2 guys. But again, don't really have an issue with that. Just like go in, overpower, start dishing out damage. You will see me switch targets here and there, going after the fracture combo that I told you guys about. Not really combo, but like going after just fracturing enemies every now and then. Here you'll also see me get a little bit more comfortable with the whole target swapping business. So I kind of stunned one target, switched to the next one, continued my threat rotation, which is something that I start doing, like here again, switching targets ahead of time, which is something that you should do as a tank. Like you need to be switching to the next target that your DPS is going to nuke, so that you're ready with a little bit of a threat leeway, so to speak, for the threat that's going to come. Because like obviously when your DPS goes after the next target, they're going to hit it with everything they got. And if you're still just getting your threat up, that is going to be problematic for your tanking. So you need to start switching targets earlier, which is something that I start doing. Now here I was like wondering, what the hell should I do? I need to think this through. And then someone just straight up pulled everything. He was setting up a spell. I know what spell that is, but apparently he just aggroed stuff, and I was like, damn it. I'm not expecting that. So again, I'm still not very comfortable in pulling in situations like this, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen. So I was hesitant. I am somewhat hesitant on the very first time I pull something, because I don't want to like mess things up. And yeah, there you see that this was a very messy pull. I still did the whole tomahawk throw thing. But then I noticed, like, so those guys don't actually matter. What matters is this guy that spawns right after. Those are just like trash mobs, so you can just like walk in there, do your AoE thing, and just like not even worry about it. And then just kind of tank this guy, because this is the one that actually matters. So this, again, just kind of like tank and spank and dodge whatever the boss throws at you. That's been pretty much what we've had throughout most of the bosses in these starter instances. But then again, that's kind of how these starter instances go. At the very end boss of this instance, however, you will see different strategies come into play, and that was very nice for me personally to see, like, you know, this isn't going to be just like a big tank and spank fest. Because, I mean, if it's just tank and spank, there really isn't that much challenge to doing a dungeon, except for having the required amount of gear. Here you will notice that I was actually going down pretty concerningly there, because it seems like I still don't have maybe the proper gear for coming after these instances. This is, I believe, either level 16 or 17 instance, and the best gear that I have is only level 15. So regardless, this was where I got my first upgrade off an instance. I just looked at it really fast and I saw it had a lot more defenses than the stuff I had, so I just picked it up. I didn't even notice the additional stats, which I should have, because I think that those leggings that I just got were actually DPS leggings. They were heavy leggings, but more akin to DPS. And again, I'm not sure 100% if that was the case or not, but you guys will see why I mentioned that in a couple of seconds. So here you'll see me finally starting to apply some more of my tanking experience, like turning the mobs away from the party. And this is when I started noticing, like, so what's wrong with this healer? Why is he not doing anything? And this is when I thought that, like, he's AFK. Like, he is just not... At this point, I was even thinking that the other spellcaster was the healer, but no. That guy's the healer, and he's just following me right now. He's not really doing anything. And I was concerned. I was like... Again, I didn't think that this guy was the healer, so at the time I wasn't that concerned. But it's like, the thing that's healing me, I want to say, is actually the fairy. You will notice that whenever a spell comes in that cures me, it's the fairy casting it. So, what is this AFK healing? Again, tell me in the comment sections if I'm wrong. So here I took some time to actually equip the new legs to make sure that I'm at my best. So now we get to go to the left side here. I was just like checking out, seeing if there was any other route that we could take. Turns out there wasn't, so I was just like trying to get target on that carrion beetle even, for a tomahawk toss there into overpower. And it's pretty much Tomahawk into Overpower is going to give you all the threat that you really need per pull, it seems, so long as people aren't attacking different targets from you. However, I still like kind of overdo things, but Overpower seems to really give you tons and tons of threat, so that it doesn't become a problem anymore for AoE pulls like this. But still, I like, you know, switching targets, generating a little bit of threat here and there. The old habits die hard, because back in the days that I used to tank in World of Warcraft, I would switch targets manually just to make sure that I would get like Sunders up on every mob just in case anyone was doing AoE damage and, you know, stuff like that. And then I noticed that there's actually a caster in the back there, and I was like, oh, what the hell are you doing, dude? You crazy? Attacking my party? Can't have that. How about a stun to the face? But the stun was after I actually did the Skull Sunder, so I already had threat on him. So that was kind of like fine at that point. Then I came back to the Carrion Beetle. I keep saying Carrion, it's Carrion Beetle. Yeah, I know how to pronounce it, it's just like in the middle of this commentary. But I like the fact that this instance actually had like patrols going around, because it made the pulling a lot more interesting that way, because not only you have to pull the mobs, you also have to keep tabs on where the patrols might end up. And you will see a pull where I wouldn't say that I failed, like I did the right thing when I pulled, but my party didn't follow suit, and you will see that the pull actually goes a little bit wrong, and we end up aggroing more monsters than we really needed to. But I was happy with that, because again, it allows you to differentiate the players, like the good players from the bad players. For instance, like I'll wait for the situation and do commentary on that, because it's not appropriate to this particular situation that's happening on screen right now. But yeah, there were a lot of situations here that kind of like, you know, I don't want dungeons to just be tank and spank, because tank and spank is just way too easy. There's not really any challenge to it. And so far, I have not been disappointed in this particular dungeon. So here I was wondering if I could actually jump that. Turns out, no, there's an invisible wall, so I didn't even go into the chest room, and it turns out I actually got the 3 potions for this particular chest loot. Here I was just like, just get in there, because everybody's just like pulling regardless, so I might as well be the one to pull to make sure that I get the threat. Now here, the healer seems like he's back on the job. He's no longer AFK, which is somewhat relieving. And I'm just kind of like still experimenting, doing different things. Like here, what I did was I actually cycled through all of them and placed puncture on every single one of the enemies. Because it's like I need to, that is the main challenge of playing with the controller, right? It's the target management. You have to get used to doing different abilities on different targets. And as opposed to playing with keyboard and mouse, which I assume the way that most people do things, at least I know the way I used to do things, was that I actually manually select every enemy and place debuffs on every enemy. And here, you can actually just like put the targeting reticule over them, because like there's two states. Having the target actually selected and having a target selected just for your next cast. So there's that. Here, once again, I see a treasure chest. I'm like, I don't even care about that. Just keep moving on. However, you should wait for your party to like catch up. You don't want to engage on an enemy before the party catches up. And I'm noticing that there's still someone behind us. So I wait until he joins up and then engage. Because like you always want to have your party with you, particularly for these fights, because if you guys noticed, when we entered here, there was like a purple thing on the door. That is the barrier that is going to close once you engage this boss. Also, if you notice, I just got the aggro off of that guy by tossing the Tomahawk there. So that was perfect usage of Tomahawk in my opinion, because I got the 3 minions here that I'm tanking, and I'm maintaining aggro on the caster just by tossing Tomahawk. Here you see me once again toggle into the caster, Tomahawk, although I didn't really need to do that because all the enemies were dead, but just like maintaining threat through Tomahawk, that's also a pretty nice mechanic to keep tabs in case that you're doing tanking. Gladiators also have an ability called Shield Toss, I believe, and I don't know anything else about any other class, because the only 2 classes I played are Gladiator and Marauder. So, but yeah, it is definitely nice that both of them have like a ranged attack that you can keep threat at range while you're wailing on like a melee group or something. And here, once again, if you pay attention to the healer, he's just sitting there idly, and the only thing actually healing me through this boss fight is the fairy. Like, the healer is just in follow mode. He's even taking damage from the AoE that the monster is doing, the telegraphed AoE. And the fairy just heals him, heals me, no problem. And I'm like, what? That's insane. At this point, I believe this was when I realized, like, this healer is just AFK. He just does not give a fuck. Oh, man. Yeah, we were still able to take out this guy. Maybe the healer is over-leveling us, and he's just getting his level synced downwards or something. Because otherwise, I don't really see how it would be possible to just AFK heal through a fight of appropriate level. I don't know how they would balance something like that out. Regardless, we took out the boss, and this is when I realized I should have paid more attention to the other pants, because these ones seem like they would be tanking pants. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to need these ones too. As a matter of fact, at some point in the game, you will notice me, well, I'm not sure if I actually show that, but you will see me, like, compare the two pants and trying to figure out what was the difference. And the thing is, some of them have the stats higher, like the defensive stats, but they don't have the other stats like parry, which actually comes in these pink pants that we just got off of this boss. So, I got 2 drops and both of them were pants. That's all I can really say for myself. Then we're taking out a different minion. These guys, these Yarzon feeders, they're pretty simple. Just like, once again, you hit them once, then you smack them with overpower, and then you just keep like your heavy swing Skull Sunder on your main target, and then you switch heavy swing Skull Sunder on your secondary target. That seems to be most of your rotation, apart from when you actually like have solid threat. That is when you start using main, which I should be using at this point, but I'm just using Skull Sunder because I'm thinking about other things. I'm thinking about how to optimize the TP thing, how to optimize everything. You know, I was always, throughout this dungeon, I was always thinking of better ways to tank and optimize stuff. So here you'll notice the healer is still AFK. That was probably the reason why I died. I think that the healer might have gotten stuck somewhere, and then I died. Now here I'm actually in a really bad position. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing here. I should be moving this minion away from the party, because I don't have situational awareness right now. I don't know if something is behind us. I don't know if something is in front of us. And suddenly I see this guy pop out of nowhere, and I was like, well, I overpowered him, so he should be good. But then I was like, man, I'm getting hit by his AoE. The healer is getting hit by his AoE. This is one big mess of a pull. I think at some point I actually move away from here and change the way, yeah, see, and change the way that I was tanking this situation. But never put yourselves in the situation that I put myself there, which is like back towards the wall, can't see anything in any direction. All I see is the enemy directly in front of me. That's a terrible idea. That's a terrible way to tank. Never, never do that. That is a perfect example of what you should not do. Here, once again, with the Yarzon feeders, these guys, pretty simple. As a matter of fact, I think that there's one point where I even was stopping because I was waiting for the rest of the party, and the Lancer guy just charged on into a group of Yarzon feeders. Not that it matters that much, it's kind of like to show you guys that I was having some trouble, like, managing the party itself. And you guys will see some other situations like that, where people just, like, charge in for no reason. And again, I don't have a problem with it, so long as everyone can keep up. That is not really an issue for me. The issue is when we start being suboptimal, which has happened quite a few times throughout this party. I can't remember. Is it now? Yeah, I think it's now. You'll notice that the guy was just jumping all over the place. I'm just like getting my bearings, making sure everybody's close, getting ready to attack. Oh, it wasn't here. Oh yeah, here I pulled. Yeah, this was the situation that I was talking about. You see how I pulled that guy, and I noticed, okay, there's people coming. Let's pull back. Nobody followed. Like, not the only person to follow was the healer, because it was an auto follow. So we end up aggroing another pack from the right, and eventually we could have even aggroed the pack from the left. So this is one of those situations where it's like, you can really tell people that kind of know what they're doing and people that are just like going through the paces. And the thing is, I was trying to pull these guys back, and we could have pulled them back because the mage did not have, they don't have all the range in the world, so you can pull back a mage. But the thing is, the DPS just kind of stuck on him, and they're like, I'm not leaving this. for nothing, and they just like stood there DPSing it down instead of moving back with me, which is what you should do when you see your tank moving away from something. You should follow your tank, like move with your tank, unless there's a specific fight mechanic. But during pulls, like trash pulls like this, if you see your tank running away, follow your tank. Because like sure, we were able to handle it, but what would have happened if we would pull like, I don't know, two additional packs and gotten like a whole bunch of people in here just attacking us, and we could have gotten our asses handed to us because we weren't, I mean, the rest of the party wasn't paying proper attention. Here you'll also notice that I'm going after the treasure chest because I was almost going after the enemies. Then I noticed, no, there's a treasure chest here. We should go after the treasure chest. And this is when the healer got back. You'll notice that the healer is moving again. So I guess this is why I got a little bit more confident at this point, because I kind of saw the healer moving around, and I'm like, well, I guess the healer's back now, so we're all good. I'm no longer just being auto-healed by a fairy, which is somewhat disconcerting, because who knows when something can go wrong. But yeah, I did try to get all of the treasure coffers, which I don't even know if it's worth getting all of those or not, but I was just like, well, whatever, just like get those. Doesn't matter if it's worth it or not. And here, I was waiting. You notice I see those Yarzons. I move back, and I'm just waiting for the rest of the party to come out of the whole thing as I'm comparing the legs, like I said, because I was comparing it like, what's the difference? And as I'm comparing this, that guy just runs in, doesn't even wait for the rest of the party. He's like, screw this! I don't give a damn! That's when I realized, yeah, I gotta be on top of my game here, because I'm gonna have to do some compensation tanking. I'm gonna have to compensate with more threat than you would normally need for people that are actually paying attention, because this guy's just gonna charge on in. And the fact that he charges on in, I'm calling the attention to that because you guys will see something that is going to happen further on ahead, and I believe that it was probably him, since he was just like charging like a maniac all the time. He was probably the cause of something that is going to happen a little bit ahead here. But as you can see, since I noticed, like, look, everybody's pulling like crazy, I need to be ahead of everybody. I need to be always pulling. I need to make sure that I get everything down ahead of everyone. Otherwise, I might have troubles keeping threat. Like you see here, once again, they just like charge in, completely disregarding their own safety, not giving a damn, forcing me to kind of like move around, do all kinds of crazy skill usage, like tossing tomahawk as I'm running towards this target, then getting a ton of overpowers in to compensate for the fact that I haven't been hitting the groundsman over there, and I still can't get threat back on that one. So I was just like, well, I quit. That one, you guys are going to have to deal with it. He didn't have that much health either, so it's not like it was a big deal. But this is when things started going sour. So we do this pull is fine, but I'm like, okay, so I need to get more aggressive with my pulling, because this party is just like going ahead of me at all times. So since the tank should be the one to dictate the pace of the party, I was like, well, I guess I need to be more aggressive, because these guys want to go ahead and be more aggressive. Very well. Is there anything we can do here? No? Okay. Let's go through here and let's pull. I mean, the healer is even ahead of me, which is why I was so confident for this pull. And this is the pull that I'm going to die in. So I'm like, the healer is ahead of me, so it's like I just need the healer pulled. I wasn't even the one who pulled. I was like, very well. In that case, I'm going to get aggro on this guy. Then I'm trying to like figure out which target I want to go after next. It's like, okay, there's these two guys here. Stun this one, overpower that one, and just like get everything on me, because I mean, I am the tank, right? And suddenly shit just goes south. You'll notice I have no health. I'm getting very, very little heals. Only a couple of heals from the fairy there. And boom. And I'm dead. And this was pretty much, okay, one death. It's pretty much something that can happen. It's not really a big deal. But usually healers have like a resurrection spell. So instead of going all the way back to the start of this, because I have no problem running back, but it is faster if they kill these things and res me. It is faster than me running all the way back from where we were previously. So I'm just thinking in terms of efficiency. It's not laziness. Because I know that a lot of people will be like, oh man, you were just being lazy. No, that's not the point. I was just like, look, just handle this. res me will be good. It's going to be faster than me coming back here. But turns out that this particular healer does not have the raise spell until level 22, which he told me after they finished killing the mobs. So I was like, okay, so I guess I'm going to have to run back. So I start running back, but Mr. Charge Forward over there, Brian McGrattan, I'm going to assume it was him because I can't really see if it was him or not. Basically, he charged and engaged the boss. And you guys remember when I told you that when you engage a boss, the area closes. So this is me just kind of running back. The sealed barrier is broken. This is the message I see, and I'm like, oh shit. I sprint, I lose all my resources because I'm like, if I don't get there fast, it's going to close. I have 15 seconds to get to the boss fight. So I canceled all my resources. I was going to have to struggle to get my resources back, but I was like, I just need to do it. And it's like, boom, Wormwood Altar is sealed off. So what that means is I can't actually enter in the boss fight. So I was a little bit upset with that because, like, look, me dying, that's fine. I have no issues with that. Me being excluded from a boss fight, that kind of pissed me off a little bit. So yeah, get here. This thing is sealed. Nothing I can do. Either way, eventually the thing opens up. They were able to kill the boss without me. Kind of says like, oh man, why do we need a tank anyways? That was actually a little bit frustrating. Like, I was expecting, come on, a little bit of voice acting here is just an instance. So we also got a new piece of gear there, so I was like, well, didn't fight the boss, still got the loot. I'm happy. And this is the final boss of the dungeon. I really like this boss because he's going to show off a couple of different mechanics as opposed to just like the usual tank and spank that you get from bosses. It even takes me a little while to realize because a lot of the times I'm still not aware of the actual cooldown it takes. I mean, having a global cooldown of 2.5 seconds is a little bit longer than what I'm used to, so I have to constantly look at my skill bar. So here I was focusing on like maintaining a rotation because you guys noticed at the start there I struggled a little bit with threat. I was focusing on maintaining a rotation, so you'll see me hit the boss and constantly the words invulnerable are popping up. And I didn't notice it because I was just like focusing on a rotation. Totally tunnel visioning my my hotbar, and then I was like, wait a second. This can't be it. Oh, I see what you're doing here. So yeah, it took me a while because I was totally tunnel vision on the hotbar because I lost a little bit of threat at the start there. Then I figured out, okay, those are the guys that we need to take care of. So just now wail on the boss again. And eventually the boss does that particular thing a couple more times. So it does differentiate from just your basic tank and spank, kind of the same way that the last boss of the other instance also differentiated from tank and spank. And here I'm actually bringing the boss over to the next target. Although I'm not entirely sure this is the best thing that you can do as a tank. I have to say that probably the best thing you can do as a tank is actually get the boss away from that, because the boss does a ton of AoE damage, and bringing the boss close to the minion that needs to be nuked down is only going to make the healer's life a little bit harder, because it's going to be hitting you and the DPS that's on top of the other mob. And it's not like the DPS actually needs the tank to go and deal damage. As opposed to doing that, you should actually be focusing on picking up those adds that I totally missed and that our spellcaster made quick work of. So there's that. And here we see a little bit of a telegraph thing, and I got stuck there. Not exactly sure what I got stuck on, but I was still out of the range of the spell, so it was all good. And you can see that we're nuking him down pretty fast at this point. So we could tell it's not going to be like a terrible challenging, but it definitely had like interesting mechanics. Like you will notice, I see a couple of minions here, and instead of actually going after the guys that are giving him the shield, I'm just overpowering the minions, the adds that are spawning, and keeping those on me so that they can just be AoE down without the DPS having to worry too much about anything. And after that, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the boss to, I was still wondering if I should be helping with this or not, but then I was like, no, this is not what I need to do. What I need to do is just get the boss as far away from everyone as possible. And you'll see me I was bringing the boss closer to the healer, then I moved it away. Just get the boss as far away from everyone as possible so that people can focus on dealing damage, and also, in case the boss does this, nobody has to actually move. So definitely the best thing to do at this boss is just move him away. And I know that this is probably like old news for most people because this game has been out for PC for quite some time, so probably people know this strategy to death. But I don't like watching that many guides online. I like kind of like experiencing stuff for myself. Even though in MMOs, that's kind of like something that you need to weigh in against the other players because you're also affecting other players with your decisions. But yeah, we took him down. That was the end of the instance. I don't think there's any more useful loot in there for us. That sound is still pretty cool. That little sting like. Let me just let you guys take a look at the loot. I was trying to do the player commendations. I was going to do a commendation for the healer because I mean he was AFK, he still did a pretty good job. Those are some mage boots, and that is pretty much it. As per usual, leave me your comments, feedback, all that kinds of good stuff in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.